video diary entry that I'm doing. In this video I'm just going to discuss the Protective series, particularly Protective Shadows and Protective Secrets, because I have not elaborated on them as much as I probably could. So just to break it down, the series, we'll start with Protective Services and the characters in that. As you're probably all aware, there's Jed, the protagonist, and the frontman for the band, and there's Yane, the drummer, and the second main character, Asko, the lead guitarist, the third main character, and Yamo, the co-lead guitarist, keyboardist, and the fourth member. The book changes throughout their perspectives, but mainly between Jed and Yane, because they're the two main characters, and the couple who are blissfully in love, at least until halfway in the book. So Protective Shadows takes on a more serious kind of angle than Protective Services, just in regards to the characters maturing since the finale of Protective Services. In Protective Shadows we see Yane and Jed's tattered relationship at the end of the book. As in Protective Services, they didn't have a relationship at the end, whereas halfway they kinda did. Jed is more vulnerable and more open to being hurt than the others are, because he's new to the music scene and he's, you know, just getting his name out there, and he's not used to all the risks and that come with being in such a big band, especially Protective Services, because they take off relatively well in the book. Almost bigger than One Direction, believe it or not. And then in Protective Shadows we see the band falter. They're losing fans, their album isn't selling as well as it used to, as in Sunday Morning, because up until near the halfway point of Protective Shadows they've only got one album, and then they make 3, which is their next album, and it's called that because one of the characters dies. I'm not going to mention who, but it's really, really sad. It happens in chapter 15, just a bit of a warning. And yeah, that scene of the particular character dying took a lot of emotion out of me, because I've never written a death scene of a character where I'm really, really close to. I know that sounds weird for non-writers out there, but the character, who shall remain nameless, was my favourite in the series, so it did take its emotional toll. All up, the scene took about a week to write. I wrote the first half like in a day, and then the second half where he dies, it took the rest of the week, because I kept crying and I kept hyperventilating, because I didn't want to kill him off, but it fits in with the story that I aimed for and the story that I got. And then once the character's dead, Jed kind of realises that he's been taking things too lightly, as in life as a whole, I guess. And then he realises it's time to mature, time to get back into the swing of things. but after the character dies, it takes a huge chunk out of Jed, out of his heart and out of his soul. And we see him diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety. And it's not easy on him, especially when he's prone to self-harming. And then in Protective Secrets, it kind of comes back. At the end of Protective Shadows, Jed doesn't experience as much episodes as he did earlier on in the book. And in the start of Protective Secrets, we see that his anxiety and depression come back full force, especially when he's trapped with his memories, like of the past 4 years, since it's a 2-year gap between Protective Shadows and Protective Secrets. Jed also has a kid in Protective Secrets. The kid hasn't been introduced yet. I mean, I only just posted chapter 3 of Protective Secrets like half an hour ago, if that. And yeah, for those who read Protective Shadows, and I'm probably spoiling it for those who didn't, Jed got really pregnant in Protective Shadows when he was losing his self-identity. When he just didn't give a care in the world anymore after the character died. Jed really lost himself, as I've probably mentioned a lot. So he hooked up with a lot of people. He didn't really care. He wasn't emotionally attached to any of them that he slept with. I think I do mention the number of people he sleeps with, but just in case I probably didn't. He slept with like 5 people, different people. Some of them were fangirls and some were just randoms that he met throughout the course of the book. Not mentioned prominently, of course, because it focuses on the band and how they cope after losing one of their members and then having to replace him, which they don't want to do, but they have to, because how will it work with 3 of them? So they all agree on a new member, Dominic Ukarainen. He's Yane's brother, and well, one of Yane's brothers. Yane has Juha Ukarainen, his other brother from another mother. No, not really, they have the same mother. And Tina, his sister. I think there was a 3rd brother. Oh, the 3rd brother is probably Yane. So yeah. In regards to Protective Secrets, I do have a lot of plans for Jed. At the end of Protective Shadows, he left the band. He handed in his jacket to Asko and said, look, I can't do this anymore. The band needs you. I'm leaving. Because he just has a lot of stress to deal with. And after rescuing Ricky Lee from Juha Ukarainen, the twisted sibling of the Ukarainen family, he realises that he's not mentally stable enough to continue on being a crime fighter and the frontman for the band, so he leaves. Yeah, just in Protective Secrets so far, Jed just brings up his past memories and how he's been doing since he left the band, which isn't very good. He's numb still, because it's been 2 years since he lost someone who meant a lot to him. And so he's struggling to come to terms with how long it's been. And he's living with Jevon, one of his brothers, in Bunbury, where he originally lives in Protective Services. Not so much in Protective Shadows, since the band tour all over the world for their Sunday morning tour. But yeah, he lives with Jevon, and Jevon's like, you know, bro, time to cheer up, time to move on. But he doesn't really understand the full extent of Jed's numbness. Jed's actually one of the most simplistic characters that I've created, but definitely one of my most favourites, because he's diverse, he's childish, he's random, he cares about people, and he's also cautious of hurting people's feelings, and cautious of his own feelings, of course, because he's been hurt before. Before he met Yane, he was hurt emotionally by someone else, some guy he dated when he was first coming out as bisexual, and he turned out to be fake. So it took an emotional toll on Jed. And when he met Yane and Asko in Yama, Yane kind of took an instant attraction to him, and Jed just wasn't feeling it because he's still emotionally hurt by that point, because the ex-fake thing was only recent. And so Yane proposes having a relationship, and Jed says no, but they kind of subconsciously form this sexual relationship with each other. Not official, but like just sleeping together basically. Until in chapter 10, Yane confesses his love for Jed, and Jed just kind of stands there shell-shocked, not sure of what to say. In the end, he says, not at the end of the book, but like in the start of chapter 11, he says, Yane, I don't love you, at least not yet. One day I will tell you that I love you, but it's not tonight. That's word for word. It's amazing. I can remember word for word. It's been 2 years since I wrote that book. And so, halfway through the book, Yane leaves the country to protect Jed from Yane's homophobic father, Miko, who is a prominent antagonist in the story. Protect Me, the prequel to the series, explores not only how Asko and Yane's friendship crumbled, but the full emotional and physical extent of Yane's past, and how his father really severely affected that. So yeah, I'm still writing Protect Me. I'm up to chapter 9 at the moment. But yeah, so I'm really excited to write Protective Secrets, even though I haven't been updating it as much as I should. But you know, today was a good day. I got a chapter published. That's an accomplishment within itself. Newsroom was down today, so I got to leave home a bit early than I usually would. Plus I was working on my long form piece, which is due next week. So yeah, I got some time to polish that, extend on it. It's 4,000 words. Good achievement, because most of the chapters in Protective Services were 4,000 words or more. And in Protective Shadows, they were around 2,000 or 3,000, occasionally 4,000, but yeah, I kind of I don't know, that was back when Wattpad didn't have the word count, like on the app version. So I just never really took notice of the word count. I just went with what I wanted to include in the chapter. But all up, I think Protective Shadows was very, very successful. More successful than Protective Services. In regards to the amount of reads that it got. Protective Shadows got like 1,000. And that was when I posted chapter 22. So that was amazing. When I wrote Protective Services, when I finished it, it had probably less than 200 reads, or maybe 200 or slightly more, but no more than 300. And then I thought, well, you know, I've written the book that I wanted to write, we'll just leave it at that. But early in January this year, I had an itch to write a sequel, but I never planned to form a series out of it. It's usually the unplanned things that are the best. Like, and just with Protective Secrets at the moment, I'm worried that if I write something I'm not going to be proud of, or people won't like, because it's not like the characters in the past 2 books. It's more dark and more serious, more raw, emotionally raw. Because Jed's isolated from the band, as I've mentioned, and he's more open about how shit he feels on the inside. How he's disconnected from the world. And then in chapter 3 we get our first look at Asko and the other guys and how they're doing without Jed, which also isn't very good. Asko misses Jed a lot, and so does Yarmo. The other two, they don't really miss Jed. It sounds cruel, but it's true. Asko is the main one who misses him a lot. He has a panic attack thinking back to the memories that he formed with Jed. It's really sad. It took me a while to get it right, chapter, because I needed to capture the amount of deep emotional turmoil that Asko is going through, even though it's been 2 years. He's been trying to contact Jed, and Jed's not having any of that. It's not because Jed doesn't care, it's just because he's not emotionally ready to reconnect with Asko or any of the other guys yet. So, yeah. I'm hoping to post some Protective Secrets promotional posters, hopefully by tomorrow, maybe. And I've started work on chapter 4, told through Jed's perspective this time. I left a nice little cliffhanger on the end of chapter 3, told through Asko's perspective, as I mentioned. It's gonna infuriate people if they read it. As I mentioned in the previous video, not many people are reading my updates, so we'll see. Bye!